Welcome back to CNBG News. I'm April Howard. Now here's some news from the world of pop culture. There's lots of drama surrounding the upcoming Oscar ceremony. It has nothing to do with the films. Both Eddie Murphy and Brett Ratner have dropped out as host and producer of the 2012 ceremony. Controversy first began when producer Brett Ratner left the position after he was heavily criticized for using a gay slur during a question-and-answer session for his new film, Tower Heist, in which Murphy stars. He was also criticized for sexual and other statements made about women on The Howard Stern Show. Murphy, who was slated to host, considers Ratner his creative partner, and with him gone, Eddie Murphy was no longer interested in hosting. According to a statement released Wednesday from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, Eddie Murphy has withdrawn as host from the Oscars. Organizers now have to find both a new host and producer for the February 26th ceremony. At age 31, Chinese NBA star Yao Ming has began his college career. The retired basketball star and Shanghai native began classes on Monday, 2 months after his classmates started their academic year. The school, Shanghai Jiao's Tong University, has built a special chair for him to sit through lectures. Yao, who retired from the NBA in July after an injury-plagued career as the center for the Houston Rockets, will study at Tong University's management school. His course load will include English, math, modern Chinese history, as well as finance and journalism. Because of the constant media attention and frenzied fan interest, Yao will be taking some of his classes on one-on-one tutorials with his professors. Yesterday, the hip-hop world lost rapper Heavy D. Heavy D has seen a doctor the days before his death on Tuesday, and police said in a statement there was no evidence of foul play. Heavy D experienced breathing problems at his home and then collapsed. Heavy D was only 44 years old. Now that Conrad Murray has been found guilty in Jackson's death, what's next? After the guilty verdict was read Monday in the Los Angeles County courtroom, Murray was immediately handcuffed and taken into custody. It has been reported that the 58-year-old is not on suicide watch. According to the New York Post, Murray could be sentenced to anything from probation to 4 years behind bars. Michael Jackson's brother Jermaine said justice was served as he and his family braved the huge crowd to leave the courthouse. His sister Rebe added, "Nothing will bring him back, but I'm happy Murray was found guilty." Sister Latoya tweeted, "Victory! We're most proud of the Walgreen team. You did an excellent job in your quest to seek justice for my family and Michael," referring to prosecutor David Walgreen. Murray's defense lawyer Ed Chernoff made no comment about whether Murray will appeal against the criminal conviction. Murray had been admitted to giving Jackson a small amount of propofol to help him sleep, but not the massive amount of the drug, which is normally used in a hospital setting as an anesthetic, that was found in Jackson's body. Jackson died on June 25, 2009. Also on the Conrad Murray case, days after the guilty verdict has been read, network cable news company MSNBC will broadcast a documentary that it said will highlight the story of the doctor. MSNBC said Murray will break his silence in the program entitled Michael Jackson and the Doctor. He is set to reveal personal details of his relationship with the legendary king of pop, as well as untold events that happened the night Jackson died. The film will premiere Friday and be rebroadcast on Sunday. After a series of cancellations this year due to vocal issues, singer Adele has undergone throat-related surgery at a Massachusetts General Hospital. The British singer is expected to make a full recovery. In a statement, the hospital explains that Adele underwent laser microsurgery to put a stop to recurrent vocal cord hemorrhage, which is typically the result of blood vessels in the vocal cord that can rupture. In late October, Adele canceled the remainder of her 2011 appearances with the announcement that she was planning to have this operation. Those who purchased tickets to see Adele at a 2011 engagement have been able to seek a refund. Media mogul Oprah Winfrey will receive an honorary Oscar. The prestigious Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award will be presented to Winfrey Saturday at the Kodak Theater in Los Angeles, California. From the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences, Some have criticized the move by the Academy, saying she belongs more in the television world than the film. Winfrey says she understands the criticism, but says she was given the award because of her humanitarian contributions. Winfrey was nominated for an Oscar before for her role in The Color Purple. She has also produced several high-profile films such as Beloved and Precious. Elizabeth Taylor, Quincy Jones, Jerry Lewis, and Paul Newman are some of the previous recipients of this award. Now for some business news. Fear from Italy's debt crisis is hitting close to home. U.S. stocks sold off sharply after Italy's 10-year bond yield spiked above 7%, which is its highest since the euro launched into 1999. The Dow Jones Industrial tumbled 400 points, 3.3%, with all 30 of the blue chip index components firmly in the red. The S&P 500 sank 45 points, or 3.5%, and the Nasdaq dropped 102 points, which was 3.7%. Bank stocks were among the biggest losers, with Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, and Morgan Stanley down more than 6%. JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo shares fell more than 4%. The U.S. isn't the only one feeling the crunch. European markets sold off, and the euro slumped more than 2% against the U.S. dollar. A set of economic reforms is making its way through the Italian parliament, and Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi has agreed to resign after the budget reforms are approved, but that may not happen until December. Losses widened at mortgage giant Fannie Mae in the third quarter, which forced the government-controlled firm to request another $7.8 billion from the Treasury Department. Tuesday, the company reported a net loss of $5.1 billion compared to a net loss of $2.9 billion in the second quarter. A year ago, Fannie Mae reported a net loss of $1.3 billion. The current quarter's loss was driven mainly by continued delinquency issues in mortgages it had purchased or guaranteed before 2009. Additionally, Fannie Mae suffered an increase in expenses related to foreclosed properties. Declining interest rates are also contributed to the company's losses. Last week, Fannie Mae's twin Freddie Mac asked the government for an additional $6 billion after reporting a $4.4 billion quarterly loss. It has now received $72.7 billion from the Treasury Department. Well, you might have to pay more for your pecan pie this holiday season. Pecans are in tight supply in the U.S. thanks to a crop-damaging drought and a jump in demand from Chinese consumers. According to Jeff Warren, Vice President of South Georgia Pecan Company, prices are expected to hit $11 per pound or more in supermarkets. That's up 22% from 2010. China is one of the driving forces behind the pop in prices. The Chinese diet is high in nuts, and the country's demand for the American pecan took off in 2007. South Georgia Pecans Jeff Warren estimates that Texas generally produces 70 million pounds of the nut per year, but says this year's crop is expected to be just 30 million pounds. Well, what would you do if you could work for a single company for 5 years and get a $50,000 bonus check? Well, one small business owner is putting his money where his mouth is when it comes to appreciating his employees. Dan Schneider, founder and CEO of SIB Development and Consulting, is offering $50,000 bonuses to any of his full-time employees who stay with the company for 5 years. Schneider says, "In this day and age, there is nothing that makes people loyal to companies anymore. There are no strings attached." He is also offering employees to stay on for 25 years and get $250,000 in bonus cash. Snyder says he looks forward to giving out the money. While the U.S. may be experiencing economic woes, there is one company who doesn't seem to be getting hit. McDonald's reported a higher than expected rise in worldwide October sales at established restaurants, which was aided by popular promotional games such as Monopoly. McDonald's has been outpacing such rivals as Wendy's, Burger King, and Yum Brands KFC by attracting a broader range of diners than fast food's typical young adult males. It has done that with menu items like kids' meals, premium Angus beef hamburgers, as well as a selection of high-margin drinks ranging from lattes to fruit smoothies. It is also renovating its dining area to be more comfortable and modern. For those who participated in the 2011 McDonald's Monopoly game, which has since concluded, if you are a winner, the deadline to claim your prize is November 21st, 2011. We're going to take a short break and be back with more of today's headlines. Please stay tuned to CMBG News. Welcome to CMBG News. I'm April Howard. In today's top headlines, political leaders began talks with the Greek president and ended Wednesday night with still no announcement of a new prime minister and no confirmation of the imminent resignation of Prime Minister George Papandreou. Talks will resume Thursday morning. Papandreou's office earlier said he would hand in his resignation to the country's president Wednesday, but the move was postponed until at least Thursday. Greece's current Prime Minister Papandreou went on national television last night to announce a new interim government had been formed, but he did not name his successor. What he did, however, say was a short graduation speech summing up moves in recent years to stabilize and help the country, expressing the country's continued commitment to the European bailout plan and urging political parties to transcend their differences. Mr. Papandreou said the country's new government would signal the beginning of a new political mentality, a new political culture. He said the interim government would make the necessary efforts to justify the sacrifices made by the Greek people over the past 2 years, referring to a raft of wage and pension cuts as well as hefty tax increases. Some interpreted the tone of his speech as signaling his departure not only from Greek politics, but from the country itself. Papandreou said, "I've never put my position above the national good. For me, Greece is above everything. Wherever I go, I will carry the Greek flag in my heart." He added he would do everything he could to support the new prime minister and new government. Over in Italy, President Giorgio Napolitano says concerns about whether Berlusconi would actually leave office are completely unfounded. He said economic reforms demanded by the European Union would be passed by Parliament in a matter of days, and that he would avoid work to have a prolonged period of political uncertainty. Napolitano issued a statement after markets Wednesday pounded Italy, sending its key borrowing rate way above 7% level that eventually forced other Eurozone countries like Greece and Portugal to seek bailouts. Longtime Penn State head football coach Joe Paterno will retire at the end of the 2011 season, as he said in a statement this morning. Paterno said he was absolutely devastated by the developments regarding child sex abuse scandal involving a former assistant football coach and 2 university officials. He added, "I will grieve for the children and their families, and I pray for their comfort and relief." Paterno's contract was set to expire at the end of the season. Some had called for him to resign because of his response to allegations brought to him in 2002 by a graduate assistant. The assistant said he had seen retired defensive coordinator Jerry Sandusky sexually assaulting a young boy in the shower at the campus football complex. "There have been some criticisms in the way we've handled some of the poor victims," said the legendary coach in front of a crowd Tuesday night. Meanwhile, calls coming from a tip line of people claiming to be victims of retired coordinator Jerry Sandusky have been brisk, said a source close to the investigation, but police are still attempting to verify the claims. 2 other Penn State officials have been arrested and accused of failing to report the abuse. On Sunday, the university said the officials had stepped down, one of them going into retirement and the other taking administrative leave. In political news today, Herman Cain, along with the rest of the GOP presidential candidates, are scheduled to take part in a Republican presidential debate in Michigan tonight. Tuesday, Cain said he had no memory of the first accuser to publicly describe misconduct by the GOP presidential hopeful, and he rejected the growing number of allegations as a politically motivated attempt to discredit his front-running campaign. Cain described his newest accuser, Sharon Bilek, as a troubled woman put up to make false allegations by forces trying to derail his presidential bid. Cain said he considers sexual harassment to be a serious issue and said respect for all women is a top priority for him. He said he has seen sexual harassment in the workplace personally, both by men harassing women and where women have attempted to sexually harass men. Cain concluded the press conference by saying his withdrawal from the presidential race ain't gonna happen and vowed we will get through this. In these tough economic times, even the government has to come back on simple luxuries. Wednesday, President Obama began taking steps to cut what the White House deemed wasteful spending in the federal budget. They target areas such as government travel, the distribution of smartphones and laptops to government workers, and limiting who gets a free car for official duties. The plan builds on the Campaign to Cut Waste program, which administration says has already saved $8.5 billion. The latest plan aims to cut spending by 20% on travel, technology, and federal vehicles. The administration is directing agencies to cut back on travel and conference-related expenses and instead use video conferences. The administration says it costs $9 million a year for all of Washington's official chauffeur cars. Well, a poll released Tuesday painted a picture of a religious electorate that has a strong preference towards religious candidates. According to the Public Religion Research Institute survey, 2/3 of voters, or 67%, said it is either very important or somewhat important for a presidential candidate to have strong religious beliefs. At the same time, the electorate is split over their comfort level with a specific religion, Mormonism, the prospect of a Mormon serving as president. A majority of voters, 53%, said they are somewhat or very comfortable with the Mormon president, while 42% said a Mormon president would make them somewhat or very uncomfortable. The level of comfort with a Mormon president has risen in importance in the 2012 nomination battle because there are two Mormon candidates in the race, former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney and former Utah Governor Jon Huntsman. In the most recent USA Today Gallup poll, Romney is tied with businessman Herman Cain at the top of the field, a position Romney has maintained throughout this race. Please stay tuned to CMBG News as we're going to take a look from news around the country.